here's part 2 of my State of the Collection 2022 video. But here we go, folks, to wrap up. This is what I call the big gun section. And yes, I want to start with the lowest cost watch here, but one that I truly love from a brand that I think is doing great stuff, Brew. And this is the Brew Retrograph Color. And what this is, yes, it is a mecha quartz watch, but it's a terrific watch. It is super cool, and it has an extraction timer here to measure the perfect time to extract an espresso. But not just that, it's got really vintage retro chronograph looks. I love what Brew is doing. I'm actually waiting right now for my Brew metric to arrive. It is still on the way, but I do think for the price, under $500, these are terrific watches. Now, these are the big guns, guys, and here I want to share basically my favorite watches. Yes, I love the kind of entry-level mid-range, but this is kind of what you collect towards higher-end and higher-end pieces, and it's been an incredible journey. But I want to start, of course, from the beginning with the Tudor Black Bay GMT, because this was the watch that started everything, guys. In May of last year, when I started really getting into watches, I was exploring Rolex. I was falling in love with this green dial OP. We'll get to that, but there's gotta be a first always, and this was my first luxury watch from what you would consider a luxury brand, Tudor. And gosh, I to this day, guys, still love this watch. I don't wear it as much recently. I do find the thickness of this watch a bit of a challenge at 15 millimeters, but it's got a terrific 70 hours power reserve. It's got the true GMT function, and most importantly, guys, it is the only other watch, outside of the GMT Master 2 from the Rolex and Tudor companies that is in this way a true GMT and offers that functionality. It's a terrific watch, and I really do hope we see some sort of Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT. So like a 58 version of this watch, that would be incredible. And then the next Tudor watch that I picked up in my collecting journey was this. And yes, you may have seen this one before, but this is the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. This is the watch that I pretty much started Frankie watch with on the streets of Hong Kong. I shared my experiences with this, and it's been a terrific watch, guys. As almost a response to the Daytona craze, Tudor decided to jump into the ring with this kind of panda look for one of their chronographs. And I've absolutely loved this watch. I've worn this watch a lot, but just like the GMT, it is still suffering from that extra thickness that I don't appreciate as much these days, but it is still a beautiful watch. It is a wrist presence watch. You gotta have some pretty big wrists, like my 7.5-inch wrist, to really appreciate it, but it's a terrific watch, and I think for the price, you can't really find a better alternative. A company like Tudor, with this B01 movement, borrowed from Breitling, 70 hours power reserve, and a really high quality chronograph. It's been super popular. It's still essentially sold out in the ADs. You can't really get this watch walking in, and I picked this one up in, I want to say, end of June, so I got really lucky picking this watch up. It's a terrific watch, the Tudor Black Bay Chrono Panda. But funny enough, you would think, would that be my favorite Tudor watch that I own? Well, no, because I have two that I actually love even more. First one has got to be this Tudor Black Bay 58, and I was just wanting a 58 for the longest time, folks. And when I finally picked this one up, I was in heaven. I mean, this watch is just so stunning, but the thing that makes this watch are the dimensions. 39 millimeters diameter, under 12 millimeters, and you can see the difference here between one of these other watches. Look how much slimmer the Black Bay 58 is next to something like the GMT. It makes a world of difference on the wrist. And honestly, with the gilt accent rose gold hands with a black dial, I went for the classic one. I didn't want the blue one, really scratching the itch of that vintage Submariner, like a 6538 or a Big Crown Submariner. I think when it comes for that vintage Submariner look, no other contemporary watch does it better than this Tudor Black Bay 58. It is truly one of my favorite watches, probably in the top 3 that I wear. But of course, we do have a new challenger that's come to the party, and this, I think, folks, might now be my favorite Tudor watch of all time. It is the Tudor Pelagos FXD. I've been wearing it pretty much non-stop since I picked it up. Guys, I don't know what to tell you about this watch other than the fact that it is so much better in person, guys. So much better in person than in the photos. And yes, the fixed lugs are definitely something that you need to get used to. The 52 millimeter lug to lug might be a bit much for some, but on this gorgeous, and I mean truly gorgeous, fabric Velcro strap, this watch wears so comfortably on the wrist. It is the only watch of all these luxury pieces that I can actually wear to bed and have no problems with. It is just so comfortable, guys. But the main thing that I love about this watch has got to be, other than the incredible, very close to the sapphire crystal dial, 70 hours of power reserve, titanium build, and yes, I did pick up the Marine Nationale 21 version, so that's going to be much more collectible. It's got to be this. The lume on this watch, folks, is incredible. Honestly, there's no other watch in my possession, and yes, that includes even the Luma Bright on all my Seikos that can truly match how amazing this looks. And I'll share some more footage here. You can see it there, guys, though. Fully lume bezel, huge lume plots, grade A super luminova. This is the best lume of any watch that I have, and it is a joy to wear in the evening. It is my favorite Tudor at this point, the Tudor Pelagos FXT. And this video is getting plenty long, so let's quickly wrap this one up with a few final mentions here. We have this gorgeous Zodiac Super Seawolf. And yes, this was my Christmas watch from my wonderful wifey who knew that I was really into this watch. This is the collaboration between a blog to watch, Ariel Adams, and Zodiac. I'm so into green, and this has so much green, seafoam green. It's got this turquoise look, and I've been wearing it on this turquoisey green rubber strap provided by Zodiac. It's not for everyone, but let me tell you guys, I absolutely adore this piece. It is such a fun watch to wear, and I think during the summer is when it's going to get the most wrist presence. This just shines in the light, and it's going to be the perfect beach time watch. This Zodiac Super Seawolf Aquamarine Dream, that's the name. It is a terrific watch. And another quick honorable mention is to my wifey. She's been joining me on this amazing collecting journey, and she's picked up some pretty awesome watches from Grand Seikos to Rolex and many more. But I do want to shout out a watch that was just picked up recently and is now a part of our collection is this, the Rolex milgauss, and it's the black dial version. And let me tell you guys, if you are into Rolex and if you're thinking about picking this watch up, you better act fast, because let me tell you folks, this one is going to be very special very soon. If they do truly discontinue this milgauss, it's going to be something that is going to shoot up in price. I truly believe we're possibly looking at a $20,000 watch when all is said and done. Right now, you can pick it up for much less. But yes, it is a little bit thicker than what I'll share with you shortly, my favorite watch and favorite Rolex. But you know what? This milgauss has such a quirky look with the Harry Potter style electric orange lightning seconds hand and the orange accents. Even though this is not the Z blue version, which I know is the more collectible version, this black dial version is still stunning. And if you're thinking about picking this one up soon, you better do it, because I have a feeling this one's not going to be around for much longer. But here we go, folks, the last two watches in my collection, and they also represent probably my two favorite watches in my watch collecting journey so far. The first one has got to be this, the Omega Speedmaster Professional Moon Watch. Now this is the 2019 version, so you can see it is actually using the older bracelet, which I don't mind. I do think though, if I wanted to upgrade the bracelet, I may consider it, but for now, this is also the 50th anniversary version, so it came with a lot of amazing extra perks, like a giant box, which came with a loop with a bunch of extra straps, and yes, this is the sapphire sandwich version of the watch, using the caliber 1863. Yes, it's not as accurate as the coaxial version now. Let me zoom in though. But if you're going to pick up any version of this watch, there you see it. You can see all the mechanisms of this watch. And of course, it's the first watch worn on the moon, the Omega Speedmaster Professional Sapphire Sandwich. It's the old version, but it is still a great version. And for me, represents my second favorite watch that I own. I absolutely adore this piece, and every Tuesday is Speedy Tuesday with my Omega Speedmaster. I just love it. But here we go, folks. Beyond the Casios, the Seikos, beyond, the Tudors, beyond all the other watches that I mentioned in my collection, there's one watch that I think for me represents more than probably any other. And that is this, the Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41mm. Now, of course, I know what you're thinking. You may just say, oh, because it's a Rolex, Frankie, you love it, and that's the only reason. But actually, no, folks. This watch really represents my entire journey of watch collecting up to this point. And it all goes back to May of last year when I saw an image of the colored OPs. And my my mind was just blown. But not just with any color, because yes, the yellow, the red, of course the Tiffany has just blown up. But for me, there was one watch of those that I loved more than any other, and that was the green dial version, this watch right here. I remember at the time tweeting about it to my tech audience that this watch was incredible, and I dreamed of one day being able to pick one up. I finally was able to do that in August of last year, and I've just been loving this watch ever since. It is just such an incredible timepiece, so comfortable to wear, 41 millimeter diameter, and an under 12 millimeter thickness, just fits under cuff so easily. Of course, you got the Oyster steel bracelet, and you have the movement inside the 3230. It's the no-date version of the same movement 3235 that can be found in watches like the Sub. And with 70 hours power reserve, this thing will just continue ticking. I haven't worn this in a couple days, and there you can see it is still running perfectly to the current time as well. But honestly, guys, this watch, for me, is really what got me into watches in the first place. I was a tech guy. I was into phones. I've always been into tech. I didn't care about watches. I did have a few, but I really just wasn't into it. Seeing this watch for the first time in images, and then actually going to a store and seeing this one through the glass, and that pretty much led me down the rabbit hole that brought me to all of this. And that is why it represents to me not only my entire journey in watch collecting, but hype aside, it's also my favorite watch that I own. And honestly, I'm so happy to have this one in my collection. It is amazing. And so that's it, folks, for my very long State of the Collection video for January 2022. I hope to be able to do more of these videos in the future, and I gotta tell you, I can't believe how much my life has changed in the past 9 months, from having not been into watches to having a whole new hobby that I've completely just jumped into, gotten completely obsessed with. But not only that, it's been a life-changing hobby. I'm now working in watches with the largest platform for pre-owned luxury watches in the world, and honestly, every day can explore my passion of watches with my clients and just being able to get hands-on with some amazing timepieces. It truly was a life-changing moment to get into watches, and I can't wait to see where my journey takes me next. But hit me up in the comments. What are your thoughts on my collection, guys? And which would you say is your favorite of the watches that I've shown you today? This is a pretty epic sized video here, but of course, stay tuned, folks, for more great Frankie watch content. I do have some amazing timepieces beyond just the ones that I own right here to be able to share with you, and I can't wait to just keep collecting, keep creating great content here on Frankie Watch. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up, and if you love the content of Frankie Watch, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon for future updates. Thanks for watching, folks, and this is Frankie Watch saying, time's up. Watches, they never get old, guys. They never get old.